Good morning. Cooking is easy if you are prepared. So, you need vegetables, you need protein, that can be animal protein, plant protein, you need fat, which is mostly the cooking medium, olive oil I'm using with this, and you need a little bit of carbohydrate. Now, every protein, which is flesh, if it is animal protein, and all these vegetable will have an element of carbohydrate. So you don't have to separately add carbohydrate, but we love some of the complex carbohydrate. But you have to be aware. I'll give you an example what will happen if you are not. The two food that you should avoid if you have got fatty liver or diabetes is grapes, fruit, because it will spike your blood sugar really high. What you don't want, any food, whatever food group it is, to spike your blood sugar. All food will spike your blood sugar, but it shouldn't spike your blood sugar to diabetic range or near diabetic range. But grapes does. And if you don't believe me, just buy a Libra or any other continuous glucose monitoring kit, CGM. It is available over the counter. It costs you £50 roughly for 2 weeks. You put the patch on your shoulder. It is painless, and then you scan with your iPhone or Android phone on the patch, and it will give you instant blood sugar report. It's called CGM. And see what happens when you eat grapes. In fact, banana, I believe, does the same, but banana have got a lot of fibers compared to grapes. So the result might be different in different individuals. The other thing I want to highlight, there is something called personalized nutrition. And studies has been made on identical twins with identical genetic makeup. Both have been given same food, same calorie. One will spike, one will not spike that much. Excuse me. And why is that? Because how much of that calorie which you are ingesting, both the twins, it will actually go into bloodstream depends on the bacterial composition of their large gut or large intestine or bowel, because the bacteria will break down the stuff and take some of it and some of it waste it during that metabolism, and rest will go in. So they have then done studies on the genetic profile of the poop of the bacteria, microbiology of the bacteria, and they found that the person who is slimmer has got a particular type of bacteria called, I think it's called Arkansas. I might be wrong, but it starts with A definitely, Arkansas or something. This is kind of a new knowledge to me. So slimming may be something that we can engineer by feeding our gut, because you have seen some people who are very slim who eats like anything and never gets obese. Now we think, oh, they're very, very lucky. So they probably have got a predominance of these bacteria, which are very slimming bacteria, should he say. So yes, we still need to do our due diligence, which is be careful what you're eating. The age-old concept that calorie in, calorie out is partially true, because calorie in is fine. Obviously, if I'm the same person, I'm eating 2000 calorie as opposed to 3000 calorie, that does matter. But same 2000 calorie, if you give to two different persons, they will extract different calories. So yes, the sentence calorie in, calorie out is kind of true, but it is not true. You have to remember that. And then you wonder why I'm eating so little food and why I'm still getting fat. And the second part of the equation is high insulin level. So if you eat 800 calorie of pure sugar as opposed to 800 calorie of non-sugary food, your insulin level will be very different. So if you want to slim down quickly, you have to cut down all the starchy food, carbohydrate food, and then only your insulin level will down. We know insulin as blood sugar lowering hormone, which is true, but the other problem with insulin, that high insulin drives all sorts of problem in human body and other mammals as well, I guess. Insulin is a pro-inflammatory. It causes arterial inflammation, leading to to arterial wall thickening. It can cause cerebral problem, and it's been associated with dementia. It can cause PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and cause women to have mustache because they start to produce a lot of testosterone. They become infertile, they cannot conceive. So all this problem can be reversed with low carbohydrate diet, which will bring down the insulin level. And if you want to know whether you are pre-diabetic or pre-diabetic, you just measure your fasting insulin level. All right, so that's it. What I'm cooking today, I'm cooking liver. Liver is an organ meat. Now, it is interesting how we started consuming organ meats, because during the Second World War, all the flesh, like the breast and thighs, chicken thighs, legs, all went to the soldiers. And then government had to do a lot of propaganda, I'm talking about USA, to encourage people to eat organ meat, because organ was like, yeah, type of meat, like liver, kidney, brain. But now we know that compared to fleshy animal protein, organ animal protein has got distinct advantage. Like this is full of vitamin A and other minerals which the flesh will not have. So from time to time, like maybe once a week or every 2 weeks, make sure that you give yourself a dose of organ meat. And this is extremely delicious if you know how to cook it. So same stuff, I'm putting some vegetables. I put onions and red pepper. It's very, this thing, very, very nutritious, but I don't know why my daughter doesn't like it. In fact, she hates it. So I have to masquerade, I have to hide it somehow so that she will not understand. As you know, you need to put spices. Now this is something, if you are born in this country, you shouldn't try. It's called Naga Chili. It has got a very unique flavor. I wish I can take the flavor in and the hotness out. Now, some of my patients, like a white Caucasian British patient born here, they mistake spice with hotness. So they said, oh, I must not eat spicy food. So to them, spicy food is synonymous with very hot food, which is not true. So obviously this is hot because I have added that, but having spice, my spice drawer, having spice in the food, actually it enhances the flavor, and also it enhances the nutrition quality of the food if you know which spice goes with which food, and which heat, and how does it affect digestion. I'll give you a simple example. I don't know whether you have heard of jal jeera. Jal means water and jeera means cumin. So crushed cumin, we Indians have been using for ages to aid digestion, or so prevent indigestion before a big meal. So we drink jal jeera as an appetizer before the main dish, and we put a little bit of nimbu. Nimbu means lemon, lime juice, and put a pinch of salt. So that's a very good digestive, and the digestive power comes from cumin. Coriander comes to mind as well. So we Indians, we cannot cook without this. Problem is, in cold countries, spices don't grow. So that's why India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, these are the land of spices. As a result of unfamiliarity, Western world doesn't know how to use spice. They use a different thing instead called herbs. And herbs are also good. Like these are herbs like oregano, this is dill. So herbs and spices are the flavoring agent, and they are, beside being flavoring agent, they are also help digestion. They help break down the stuff, and they also, I think, as a form of prebiotic. So even if we don't want it, the bacteria love it, all the spices. But problem is, here in this country, cold country, you just roast everything, and the problem is that if you roast without herbs like rosemary, etc., you need to put in the Sunday roast. But I know that some of my patients, when I ask them what did you eat, they said, oh, there's a fish, I just throw the fish in the oven and cook it with a little bit of olive oil. I said, what? That's it? And what did you eat with it? Oh, mashed potatoes, sometimes bread. This is a very, very restricted in variety. So the more variety you will have in your plates, the same variety will appear in your colon, and this is called a British garden colon or Arizona desert colon. So most of the IBS patients poop, if you analyze it, like a genetic composition of bacteria, how many bacteria is there? Is it 1,000 or is it 100? So that depends how healthy your gut is. So this sort of gut health check is not mainstream, but every alternate medical practitioners, private nutritionist I know, they send it. Now this is early science. They send it. I think it costs you a lot of money, but how to interpret that is not standardized. But one thing is common. If you do it, you will see that how low the variety in your microbiome. So that tells me a lot about your gut. Anyway, and remember, you start your day with coffee. Today is day 3 of Ramadan, and yesterday one of my colleagues was asking me about water. So why should you not drink water during fasting? Now, I had to tell that sometimes we need to give body something called hormesis. Maybe you don't know what is hormesis. Hormesis is a good stress. So the stress that doesn't break you make you stronger. So cold hormesis, like cryotherapy or going out without a jacket in a 2 degree. Hot heat hormesis, either you go to Dubai or Calcutta or Delhi, or you go to a sauna chamber. Yeah. Dry heat, wet heat, all these induce a lot of interesting protein in the body called heat shock protein or HSP. They also immune regulatory. They stimulate the skin because the heat you feel first in your skin, and that stimulates the immune system. Very, very important. And also fasting. Fasting stimulates something called autophagy. 2016, the Japanese scientists got a Nobel Prize for showing how beneficial autophagy is for human body. So when you fast for 16 hours and eat only for 8 hours, it promotes autophagy. It's called intermittent fasting. Now people hate the word fasting because, I don't know why they hate the word fasting, because everybody fasts. When you sleep, you fast, and that's why we call breakfast. So intermittent fasting, if you don't want to call that, call it intermittent feeding. Yeah, if that's politically correct for you, intermittent feeding. So you eat only 8-hour window. So there's a lot of guidance that most of the public health organization, including PHE, Public Health England, says is rubbish. There's no evidence base. Like frequent small meal is very good. It is not. Particularly not if you are obese, particularly not if you are trying to reverse your diabetes with food and stuff. So frequent small meal have to go. You have to have main 3 meals: breakfast, lunch, dinner. In fact, many health conscious, they don't have breakfast. But when you go to lunch, that lunch, if you can, make it a very non-starchy lunch. So it should be like a protein, fat, and fiber, and fruits. And the fruit will have starch in it, but way better than having white starch. But again, don't have grapes, and never ever have oat, which I really was addicted to, Quaker's oat, in your breakfast. If you have it, just have it maybe Saturdays and Sundays, maybe 2 days a week, if you're really addicted to Quaker. And again, if you don't believe me, take a Quaker breakfast and then do your continuous glucose monitoring. You will see what is happening to your blood sugar. You won't believe it, how much it will go up. So a lot of concept that we think is healthy for us actually is not. The other thing is sweeteners. Again, Public Health England tells you, okay, if you want to try to cut down sugar, use artificial sweetener. We know artificial sweeteners are not good for health because they destroy the bacterial microbiome and other microbiome, and our gut microbiome hates artificial sweetener. So think about it. All it does, it just make the food taste sweet, but actually it destroys the healthful friends inside. So that's it. A lot of gut knowledge while I cook. My cooking is almost done. I have also put garlic and ginger beside onions, and before finishing off, I'm going to put some garam masala in it to spice it even more. And then I'm going to saute this and add this together, but I'm going to serve it with some other stuff, which is this thingy, sour cream, and one of my friend gave me this. It's Indian food for Ugadi, the Indian New Year. Southern part of India, they follow, celebrate Ugadi. So it's a lot of vegetarian stuff, as you can see. But it is a fried food. And remember, when you fry food, you have to use non-seed oil predominantly, which is avocado oil, coconut oil, or olive oil. Yeah, and this is my sweet craving, which is yogurt, full fat yogurt, and lots of nuts, and some sort of dried fruits, because I really addicted to sugar. So if I have to have sugar, let me have some good sugar along with my food. So this food will dampen the glycemic rise of my blood sugar. And I have put a lot of seeds. You can't see it at the bottom end, like nuts and seeds in the bottom. So that's your perfect meal. Yeah. So let me switch off the heat. Have a nice day. Thank you.